What's going on, everybody? This is the Late Bloomer Podcast. My name is Spooks McGee. I'll be your host for the evening. I am on Facebook Live right now recording the episode intro. About a year ago, I went to downtown Kennesaw and I spoke with an elderly gentleman that goes by the name Wildman. His name is Dent Myers, aka Wildman. He has this Civil War surplus store or something that he sells like Confederate flags for people and Civil War memorabilia and the bars and stripes, the shit that Southern people like. I mean, he saw a market. People need, these things so they can represent their heritage, even though the more and more that we understand and learn about the history of the Confederacy, what they stood for, the whole purpose of them in general, it's really hard for people to really argue that the bars and stripes, the X flag, the Confederate flag, alternative flag is not something that is a symbol of slavery. It's just really hard for people now that the facts are in order, now that the truth is out, that it's what it's about. I mean, the flag, didn't resurface until like the 50s. They didn't, show it again or utilize it again until now see, I got to get my facts before I come on this thing. But all I'm saying is a year ago I had the idea to start a show. I didn't know how I was going to start a show, but I had shot a bunch of stuff. And one of the things that I shot was this footage of this old guy. I believe he's in his 80s. I completely forgot his age, but his name is Dent Myers. He goes by Wildman. He has a long, crazy beard. Pretty much just like what you would call a stereotypical caricature of a hillbilly. Like whatever they had on the bottle of the Mountain Dew, it's that guy. And I also have some photos of him when he was younger. He wasn't always like that. He looked like a suave, smooth Casanova type cat. And I don't know, he just started to descend into this like old, hillbilly type persona, and I guess that's what he took a liking to. I don't know if he's a moonshiner. I don't know what his story is, but so I asked him. I found it intriguing. But it wasn't just the fact that he had this store that sold Confederate merchandise, that sold flags and Civil War memorabilia. It was the back. The back of his place was guarded by some kind of like a chain. And the chain was there, and there was a sign. I don't really remember what the sign was. But one of the things that you're greeted with is a bunch of Civil War historical memorabilia. Old guns, old uniforms on mannequins that show the way that the Confederates dressed. But then you start to see all of the racist art, if you would call it that. Racist dolls, racist drawings, cartoons, comic books, mammy dolls, the people eating watermelon and all those things that you would see, the big buggy eyes, the big old red lips. And seeing all that stuff really At the time, I showed it to a person that was close to me, and she didn't just see it and go, She was deeply distraught by what she saw. It filled her with rage, and she really didn't like it. She really didn't like it. But I saw it as, well, I got to know more about this. And so I left. I thought about it. Some of the pictures that I took, people had seen. And about 3 months later, I'm working. I'm off of work, and I had some time to stop. I saw the store again, hit a U-turn, skirt, and I just happened to have all my equipment on my truck. It was a laptop, microphone, and the interface and everything that I needed to record this guy. I asked him, "Hey, can I interview you?" And he said, "Yeah." And I got about 40 minutes of audio from him. 40 minutes of audio. And it's interesting hearing a person of his stature or of his, race and his age talking about things that, people my age wouldn't normally talk to somebody like that about. And actually, because of the fact that this interview was done a year ago, none of the audio really has any relevance to today, but at the same time it does, because a lot of the stuff that we were talking about a year ago is just as important, just as prevalent, and I think it's interesting. I think that I'm gonna go back, talk to him again. Hopefully he's still alive. I mean, he was very elderly when I spoke to him a year ago, so I mean, if he was 85, he'll be 86, But I just hope that he's in good health, because you don't really get to hear a person of his age and of his race and talk about these things. And what I noticed is that for his age, he was really sharp. He had a lot of wit, a lot of jokes, a lot of silly things that he would say. I don't know. I just think that you guys would find it interesting. But before I go into the audio of the this dude Dent Myers, I wanted to talk about the Confederacy in general and how these socialites, these elite people that were like in society that had a little bit of clout, tried desperately to rewrite history by going into schools, by advocating to get these monuments built. It's really interesting. And now that I know all this stuff, which I didn't at the time, I kind of sort of knew about how the people who were fighting for slavery kind of forced a hand and tried to reconvene or rewrite or reevaluate what exactly slavery meant to people, whether or not the slaves were happy. It's just really interesting. But the thing about me is that while I do find all of these topics very interesting and also very important to talk about, I'm so exhausted. And this is one of the reasons why I haven't recorded a new episode since episode 5. Because I'm only 33 years old. I mean, I've been listening to people talk about these injustices for 33 years. And 33 years before that, people were talking about this, and et cetera, and so forth and so on. So, I understand that it's important to talk about this stuff. But I also feel like I want my platforms, or whatever, to be something that's sort of an escape, or something that one would see would come to get away from all this stuff and just have a moment where they don't think about this. I mean, the number one show in America right now is some shit called The Floor is Lava. I mean, that's what everyone is watching. There's turmoil. There's COVID-19. There's President Trump going crazy. There's Trump or Biden, whatever. These two, insane options. Is that you want to go with the racist or or the other racist that has a black friend. It's just there's so many things going on. They got murder hornets. They got this. I haven't talked about any of this stuff since the last one because I just think everyone is talking about this stuff. And like, what am I going to say that's so unique and different about this? I want to talk about fucking Arthur. Every day when you're walking down the street, I want to talk about that shit. I want to talk about PBS Kids. I want to talk about, Nickelodeon and the game shows that they had that predate the Floor is Lava show that's on Netflix. I want to talk about goofy shit. But for some reason, I can't, for the life of me, stay away from these heavy topics and issues. It's like, I want to be goofy. I want to have some fun. I want to laugh. But it doesn't seem like it's time to laugh. It doesn't seem like anyone really wants to laugh. And I totally understand that. But I thought about it like this. Some of the best comedy was written during civil unrest. Some of the best movies were written and filmed and edited during civil unrest. Some of the most amazing songs that you've ever heard, love songs about happiness and peace and joy, were written in the midst of civil unrest. And while I understand that it's the artist's job to record music that is uplifting to the people and give them a something to think about, put everything into perspective, write it in rhyme form, put it in a song. I feel like the best thing that an artist can do is just make someone forget, just for a little bit. I'm not saying that you should just stop talking about the issues that are at hand. I'm not saying that you should neglect the issues that are at hand. What I am saying is that the strongest statement that I've ever seen in most cases is people who sometimes don't even really try to make a statement. They just take the time to express themselves how they see fit, regardless of what's going on. And I feel like that's way more challenging than writing an I Can't Breathe song. But I'm not downing people who do this. I just feel like as an artist, the immediate impulse, the knee-jerk reaction is always, well, I gotta write a song about this. And sometimes I think maybe I should wait. Or maybe make some happy, silly, goofy music. And when someone interviews me about the silly, goofy song that I wrote, or the dumb, silly, goofy comedy piece or podcast that I recorded, that I could find a way to sneak in something that is poignant about the times at hand, about the plight of the black people in America, about the plight of the world. What's going to happen in 5 years? What's going to happen in 10 years? When my son is 15 years old? I don't know. But I don't know if dwelling on that changes anything. Anyway, here's the interview with Dent Wildman Myers. Thank you for choosing the Late Bloomer Podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by Paid in America. PaidInAmerica.com has great merch. PaidInAmerica.com with 3 Ks. They're going to be dropping a single, Back in the Kitchen, on July 3rd. So be sure to check that single and video drop out. It's going to be amazing. Paid in America. America is not a country. It's a business. So where's my money? PaidInAmerica.com. PaidInAmerica.com. INAMERIKKA.com. Oh, they been new.
Keeping it organic.
Well, I tell you, those people that record this stuff on location, you better mess with them. The sound people.
Oh,
They're bad. I don't blame them, though.
Yeah.
You can ruin the whole set, just one little glitch. They expect to do it correctly.
Right. You know what? You kind of got to be a little mad in the head to do audio.
You got to be a whole lot mad. If you're not, you will be before you finish.
Yeah, because you just over and over. Oh, it never stops. You know? The same thing with animation. I think that you got to be a little kooky in the head to be doing animation because it's just like you're zoned in and you're making this stuff. You know what I mean?
16 frames per second.
You got to be wild, man.
Yeah, that's the way you shoot that stuff. You shoot on a vertical camera.
Mm-hmm.
16 frames makes 1 second, one movement. You imagine how much ink they put in Disney, how much he put into one cartoon?
They put a lot of effort into the background paintings and the character design.
There's special people for that.
Yeah. But we can talk about all kinds of stuff. Animation, music, art, the state of America, racial injustice, whatever you want to talk about. But for now, first of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Olin.
Did you drop the R?
Olin.
I thought it was rolling. You drop the O and it's Olin.
Keep them doggies rolling?
Yeah.
No, we don't keep them doggies rolling.
It's not them, huh?
No.
Okay, Olin.
Okay, Olin. My name's Olin. I go by the name Spooks McGee. I'm an artist, and I'm creating a show that documents things that I like. That's pretty much my little intro. Now I want to know who you are.
Well, I've been described in various and sundry different manners, but my name is Dent Myers.
Dent Myers.
Well, that's my nickname. That's what I'm known by, Dent Myers. Or it's Dent Wildman Myers. People put the Wildman in there. That's the name of my shop. It's not my name, but they use it anyway.
Okay.
But that's about it, and
Well,
I'm
Mr.
here.
Myers, where were you born?
White County, Georgia, about 80 miles above here.
Okay.
We sharecropped back in the 30s.
1930? How old are you?
88.
Wow, my grandmother's about your age. I'm
Well,
going to interview her later today.
is she an invalid?
No, actually, she's doing really well because she's been a vegetarian for 30 years. She's been, eating right, and now she has cancer. But, I guess everybody isn't safe from the big C.
Well, see, that's a different brand of people back then. Worked enough and it kept your body in pretty good shape.
Yeah.
Now then people are inclined to sit a lot.
Yeah.
Sedimentary.
Yeah, that's why I have the big pot belly that I got.
Oh, I thought you'd rented that.
Yeah, I rented it. It's about 7 years old. I'm about to return it, though, because it's causing me a lot of...
Uh-huh. I used to do that, and all at once I just lost all this weight.
Right.
Muscle mass and everything else.
Well,
I used to be about your size.
yeah, I'm about to slim back down. You'll see. But Mr. I lost your name already. I want to say Wildman over and over again.
That's okay.
Okay. Well, Wildman.
Yeah. Easier to remember and harder to forget.
Right.
From the song by the same name.
Well, Wildman, what is your background? What would you call yourself? What would you title yourself? What is your job?
I really couldn't establish that. It had to be somebody else that made that description, I guess.
Would you consider yourself a historian, a collector, an artist?
Some of all of that. I've done it all.
Okay. You're an actor?
I've done that.
Okay. Do you sing? You have a band?
Now that I don't do.
Okay.
The only band I've got is a rubber band. And
Rubber Band Man.
They quit playing when the pill came out.
Do you know how to play any instruments? Okay.
I comb and tissue. I'm pretty good at combing tissue.
Right. How do you make your money?
Well, it's a new printing press I've just got.
Oh, so you print documents, you print flags, you print...
Digital.
Huh?
Digital money.
Digital money.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I really don't make any money.
Are you on Social Security?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
When did you retire?
I didn't retire. I quit.
What did you do before this?
Well, I quit from Lockheed Aircraft, but I was doing stuff prior to that. I went in the military for a while. Uncle Sam decided he wanted to use me for cannon fodder for a little bit.
Cannon fodder. So
Yeah.
did you serve in the war?
Well, I was drafted into Korea. That's kind of like what it is.
Korea. What war was that?
Korea?
What was it called? I'm not really too well versed as you are in history.
Called
The
Korea.
Korean War.
Yeah.
Okay. So
That's-
what happened during the Korean War? What was the reason why we were in Korea?
Same thing that happened to the rest of them. They didn't have enough industrial complexes out there to raise money.
Oh, okay.
So all wars are caused by profit and greed.
So we were going into Korea to try to fight them for their natural resources.
No, I was in infantry. I was where they put me. That's something you don't select yourself.
I see. So you were drafted.
Yeah, sure was. I wasn't sure when to join.
Yeah.
That's like hiring your own assassin. Here's $500. Come shoot me after a while.
Right. Right.
No, I didn't join none of that.
Right. I wouldn't join either. And honestly, thank you for your service because I wouldn't join voluntarily.
I'm not a conscientious objector either.
Right.
Or an unconscious. I'm probably an unconscious objector. It knocked me in the head if it didn't go.
Well, in this era, we call that woke, a conscious.
Unconscious, yeah.
But you're very conscious, in my opinion. I feel that you are very well aware, even though you have your third eye covered.
Yeah, well, yeah, Shiva.
Right.
Shiva. Oh, I said it 3 times. The world's coming to an end.
Uh-oh. Say Trump 3 times. See what happens.
That's what Aleister Crowley and this guy that used to be the newspaper editor
Okay.
in Atlanta on the Atlanta Journal.
Yeah.
They went in and started drinking moonshine down where he lived down in South Georgia somewhere. And they was talking about Shiva. And he told them, says, you cannot, or this other guy told him, says, you can't repeat the name over 3 times or it'll destroy the world. And both of them was drunk and they started hollering. This guy he liked to die of a heart attack. Because he's a real occultist and he believed that severely.
Right. And here's the thing. We can go on and off on tangents, but I want to focus on who the Wildman really is.
Okay, let's do that. My tangent department is more full than Wildman.
So we got that you were that you used to be in the military.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have a regular job?
In the military?
No, after the military.
Yeah, Lockheed Aircraft.
Oh, did you do
27 years.
What did you do in the aircraft?
I was in expediting, I was in tool control, I was in field service, I was in engineering, I was in supervision. I did a little everything.
Okay.
See,
So you're still getting pension from the aircraft services?
I get a twiddling, but not enough to do anything with.
Right.
I could buy me one of them there $9 hamburgers over there.
Yeah.
That's about all.
Yeah. What about this? Did you learn how to fly? Oh, okay.
Nope. No, I was afraid of airplanes. I built them 27 years, I'm afraid of them. I did fly one time. They flew me to Virginia when we were shooting the Stonewall Jackson Way during the Centennial.
Mm-hmm.
So Georgia flew me there. But
Yeah.
I didn't think much about it then, but I didn't have the aversion to acrophobia. And I got a phobia of phobias.
Phobia. Yeah, I'm kind of scared of myself too. I feel like I have an addictive personality, and I could very easily become engulfed in something so much that it would take over my whole entire life. So I try not to focus on one thing too much. I might seem like I'm all over the place, but it's because I'm afraid that I would become obsedient and become addicted to something, and that's a fear of mine.
Well, it'd be easy to do, but when you've got so many worms in your pie, you can't pick out the right one.
Right. Yeah. But let's keep going on the Wildman. So basically, you were born in Georgia. You went to the military. You were in the aircraft services for a long time. Before you were drafted, did you?
I was working at Davidson
Were you in
Paxson.
college?
Hmm?
Were you going to college?
I went 2 years, but at that time you had to go to Athens to complete it, and I couldn't do that because I was working at Lockheed, and I couldn't quit my job.
Mm-hmm. How was your life?
I majored in abnormal psychology.
Oh, okay, okay. So
And
you're
get
probably breaking me down right now, huh?
yeah, what my second one is
Mm.
modern dance.
Oh, you were a hippie.
Me and my tutu. No, modern dance. I'm talking about ballet and things
Oh,
like
ballet.
this. Yeah,
Okay,
it's
okay.
very good balance. You give it the sense of balance.
You know what? I might take some dance courses to help me lose my thing, because it's like you're working out, but you're not thinking like I gotta do this. You know, you kind of lose track of time when you're going through the steps. You know.
Yeah, it's boring too.
It's boring, but it's therapeutic.
Well, you need some therapeutics.
Yeah.
I took 2 of them last night.
All right. Before all that, let's backtrack a little bit. How was your life as a child? You said you grew up in the southern part of Georgia, in the country.
And my folks were sharecroppers.
They were sharecroppers. So you grew up as a farmer in the farmland. So you would wake up really early in the morning, get the animals together, feed them, do all the stuff.
Well, we didn't have that many to feed.
Right.
All we had was 1 hog and chickens, and we had a dog. And
So you had enough stuff to maintain, to make it.
well, we had to make it on our own. Yeah, had a garden about the size of these things here.
Hmm.
But and we raised everything except I'll go into twice a year. We would go to the general stores about 50 miles away, borrow the other guy's wagon,
Right.
did a turn of corn and a turn of wheat to get our flour and meal. But that's beside the point.
Yeah, yeah. You had brothers and sisters.
And 1 brother and 1 sister.
Okay, okay. And
I mean, I didn't have them. My folks had them.
your folks had them, yeah. You guys got along pretty well, or are there any of them
I
still
was
alive?
never much of a family man. I just
Yeah, you were a loner, still a loner.
yeah.
So earlier you said to me that no man is. I said no man is an island, and you said that you are an island. Why do you think that you're an island? Have you ever been married?
What?
Have you ever been married?
Married?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. You know,
Did it work?
you're conditioned to where you're supposed to get married and have kids so they'll have future taxpayers.
Right.
That's all that's about.
Exactly.
Taking
So
care of less.
you didn't do well with the marriage thing. It kind of fell apart.
Well, we an agreeable one, not one of these vicious things I have now, where they feed you antifreeze.
Yeah.
Not that kind of marriage.
Oh, I see.
No, it was real good. I
So
always,
did you see it through to the end? Is she still alive?
died about 30 years ago.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Why?
Oh.
She don't have to put up with all this stuff.
What I'm saying is, when she died, were you guys in good standing?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay. Did you remarry after that, or?
Well, kind of, but not legally.
Oh, I see. Just
You
like-
know, marriage is like eating possum. If you don't like it, don't do it no more.
Hey, you're speaking to the right guy. I'm not even going to go into detail, but trust me, I am going through it right now. You know.
They can be very cruel and very messy, because I don't know if we're talking this on the air or not. They get vicious,
Women.
vindictive.
Oh yeah, we'll talk about it when we get off, because I don't want.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I actually would like to hear your perspective on that, because, yeah, but I'll cut that out. We'll get it. So, what made you get into the paraphernalia business?
This?
Collecting flags and books and Civil War memorabilia, and
Well, I didn't even know there'd been a war until I moved down here in 1947. Up there in the country, except my teacher, my literature teacher, she used to talk about the scalawags that ran through the mountains up there, shooting into people's houses that had men in the Confederate Army,
Yeah.
and burning their houses and all, because they were Southern sympathizers. That I didn't think anything about it then. When I came here, then I got to metal detecting and tried to ascertain what had happened, that particular item was where it was. So that started it anyway. That's what started the shop here. And then I started sending stuff out of my studio, and it kind of developed to this.
How long did it take to collect all this stuff?
I ain't even started collecting it. I've been accumulating.
Accumulate. Accumulate.
I've been accumulating this year stuff.
This here stuff right here.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with the mountain hillbillies and the people who speak in that strange English and drink moonshine and stuff of that nature?
That's right where I came from.
So you know the actual Wildman.
I know that our race cars wouldn't be an extent now if it hadn't been for those moonshiners.
Really? So you
Right.
mean NASCAR and all that stuff is a product of moonshine?
Yeah, those old first drivers. The first drivers were the ones that outrun the revenuers back in the mountains.
Right.
They'd take all the seats out of these 34 Fords and 36 Fords and fill them up with moonshine and go sell it. And the revenuers try to catch him.
Right.
They didn't have radios then. He could outrun a car. Can't outrun a radio.
And you know, the moonshine, the way that it works is very similar to the drug trade.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's exactly the same thing,
Yeah.
except the substance is different. But they don't. They have the radios and all now that they can chase you down with.
Well, I have another question before we go into the other part. Why do you do this? What is the reason for it?
Well, I like to meet people, and I have respect for, race, creed, color, national origin. Nothing of that don't make any difference to me. But I have a lot of respect for somebody that fights for a cause. And that's what ours was. We were a cause. It's like somebody breaks in your house, you'll try to stop them. And so they're invading us, we tried to stop them. That's all it boils down to. But it was really economics, because they were charging us tariff to sell our goods to them, but they had to have our goods to run their factories. They were manufacturing things. We were agrarian, if that's a word.
Right. So while this civil stuff and the civil rights movement and all this was going on, where were you mentally? Like, what did you think about all? What did you think about Martin Luther King, Malcolm X? What did you think about the March on Washington? What did you think about the boycotts in Alabama? What did you think about all that stuff?
Well,
It's fine. You good? Go ahead.
well, it's something I wouldn't do because I respect people and their property
Right.
and their thoughts and everything. I wouldn't try to change anybody. I would never desecrate somebody else's statue. I would never desecrate their flag because I was taught different.
Right.
In
But
the
what
country,
do you think about the sit-ins and the things? I mean, they were very effective. I mean, it eventually led to integration. It led to the things that we wanted to be done, and being able to vote legally in the states and getting rid of the Jim Crow laws.
well, it's the same thing with the women. They got the vote too, and
Right.
that watered the voting system down.
And they went wild too. They burned bras. They marched in the streets. They did their thing too.
Well,
Well, what did you think about the civil rights movement in general? You said that you personally wouldn't have engaged in that kind of a fanfare, that kind of thing, because you don't think that it would be dignified.
I think it's intrusion on somebody else's rights.
Whose? The government officials?
Or you walk into somebody's
Establishment?
establishment or their roadway, block the roadway, which you are paying for.
Yeah.
It should be used by both sides, whoever was going to use it. I mean, you go in there and block it down, you need to get out of the way. Now, I would let's put it this way, I wouldn't do it.
Right.
Because I have more ethics.
Did you understand the effectiveness of it and why they did it?
Well, because it's a force thing, and when you're forcing people to do something that they don't need to do, that's to me, that's all out of kilter. I don't care who it is.
I understand, but how about this? Have you ever empathized, like physically put yourself in the shoes of people who said, hey, you can't do this, and this is the reason why you can't do it, because you're black. Like, imagine if someone told you couldn't do something because you're white. How would you feel? Would you just say, okay, that's your right, and then leave? Or would you say, hey, well, hold on a minute, what's the reason for this?
You think I've been here 48 years and not get any confliction? If they want to do it, fine.
Right.
The book of the law says each and every man and woman is a star. Stars in their own orbit don't collide.
Right. But stars also burn.
Yeah.
Stars also burn out.
No, they don't.
What happens to a star when it finally dies out?
It goes into another energy mode.
Oh, wow.
No, it doesn't. Nothing is indistinguishable.
Well, I want to ask two more questions before we go into the thing. One question is, what do you think of religion and God? Do you believe in God? And what is your stance on religion and God?
Well, religion is a safety valve for people that are incapable of taking care of their own problems. And the religion is universal in the entire world, but each one is under a different guise.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all boils down to the same thing. You come from one place and you return to one place. That's just my concept.
Do you believe in God?
It's according to what you're talking about, a supreme being.
Like a greater being that controls everything.
Yeah, but they just got a name for it. It's not don't have to be God. It could be Zeus. It could be Zoroaster. It could be Buddha. It could be anything. The same thing. And actually, what it is energy.
Energy. Yeah.
It don't matter what you call it.
Transference of energy.
Yeah, it's just
like
energy.
When I record the audio and I record the video, I'm capturing energy, and I contain that energy and I manipulate it.
Well,
it's alchemy.
Religion is an escape for people that are incapable of taking care of their own problems.
Yeah, you said that earlier.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm trying to emphasize. You go to look at a church and see all these people with rapture on their face, and rapture is not a word in the Bible either, by the way.
Right.
And they're all entranced and hypnotized and putting their money in their collection plate, and these guys get rich and go home, take 3 old broads home with them, drink all night long, and then go preach the next day.
Right.
And King was like that. Everywhere he went, he had 3 prostitutes.
Yeah.
He had 2 whites and 1 black one.
I heard about that.
Well, you should have been there. He'd give you one of them. You're pretty sharp.
Well, I have one last question before we transfer into the, you know what. What is your take on death? What do you think about death? Why? What is your stance on death? Period.
Death is just a transitional period. Everybody's been programmed to think of it as being bad, but you should celebrate it because, well, that goes back to the other thing too. Your mental energy is what lives. That's what you call God or whatever. If you have thought about what you have done has been bad, you have self-hypnotized that energy. And if you think it's Hades, you'll go to Hades. It's Gehenna, matter of fact. It's not Hades, it's Gehenna. That trash pit outside of Palestine. That's where they got the word for Hades.
Right.
I mean, the idea.
Right.
But it's a transition because I'm that old colored hymnal. What is it?
Sweet by and by?
I'm tired of living, but scared of dying.
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about.
You never heard that hymnal?
How does it go?
That's what it said. I'm tired of living, but scared of dying.
I've heard it before, yes. I think it might be that other sweet by and by. In the sweet by and by.
No, it's not in that. I know that one too.
Okay.
An old rugged cross.
The old rugged cross.
Yeah.
There were a lot of songs about that. When we all get to heaven. When we all get to heaven. What a day of rejoicing that will be. What I realized growing up in the church, that it was all very much based on the idea of what happens after. What about what's happening right now? What are we doing right now? Are we going to enjoy now, or are we going to be talking about the top or the bottom forever?
No, that's what they're talking about, trying to escape reality. That's just opinions. I have no idea because I have not walked in other men's shoes as Mexicans, so I don't know.
Exactly, and this is the one thing that really makes me worry is when someone says they know the answer. Automatically start to distrust that person. Automatically, because until we cross that plane, we're never going to know.
Well, you don't know then that you know now that you don't know whether you know or not.
Right. And what is knowledge? What is knowing? What is? We don't know.
Being aware of the situation and what it consists of, but you don't know that.
Even that's fleeting. Like what we think is right is the truth right now could be shattered tomorrow by some new reality.
They're doing that. They're finding out a lot of stuff now that's been history for years. Like these boulders and things, they move 5 or 10 ton of stuff. We can't do that. So, and most of the stuff we got was stolen from somebody else. Like the rockets and all, we brought the Germans over here to show us how to make rockets.
All the Nazis.
And I don't think...
The Nazi scientists, right?
Well... They're
the ones that came in and helped us build the rockets for the moon landing, right?
Well, Van Bong...
Right.
Yeah.
That's kind of crazy if you think about it, right?
Yeah, but... Hi, folks. How y'all doing today?
All right.
Howdy, Gilligan.
Sorry for holding y'all up.
Oh, you're fine.
He's not holding you up. He didn't even bring a gun.
It's a stick-up, right?
Yeah. I have to hold it, but let him borrow one of mine.
Right. I'm going to get me one of the old guns so people can laugh at me. Boy, what is that?
Yeah, that's the reason I got 2, so I can give one to somebody else so I'll have a chance.
Right. Well, that's going to be it for this segment. I'm going to reset, and then we can start talking about the collection. Is that okay?
Whatever you say, Pilgrim.
What was the black woman doing?
Oh, she's a young girl, real attractive for being a soul sister. Anyway, uh, she was coming that one, and I got to talking about 2020
Yeah.
and Mad Dog and all this stuff.
Right,
She
right,
said,
right.
yeah. She said she came in after staying out all night and had to sleep in the car
Which one was that? What year was that?
because her mother's going to catch her. She's underage. She gone out and sopped up all this stuff with some dude, and then he.
Sorry, I forgot. Yeah, she had to sleep in the car because she was too sauced, huh?
Yeah. Anyway, she was telling me about her mama's going to beat her to death if she found out she's gone all night, so she slept in the car. Anyway,
Yeah.
they had put me on Xarelto, which is a poison, and
For what? High blood pressure or something?
it's supposed to be heart medicine or something. It's,
Oh, wow.
If you have fibrillation, the big deal now is fibrillation.
Fibrillation.
At one time, it was tonsils.
Trials and tribulations.
Yeah, trials and fibrillation. Yeah. Oh, I tried my fibrillation there last night. Finally got to going. Took my aspartame, one of my aspartame pills.
Okay.
You know,
You take one of those aspirin regiments like that?
yeah.
I heard that's actually bad for you.
Did you know that they quoted me on the radio one time? This guy's trying to talk like a soul. And he's as white as he could be, but it griped my kidneys. And he was talking about something. He said that they wouldn't take aspirin because it's white. I said that's not the reason they wouldn't take it. I said they didn't want to pick the cotton out of the bottle.
That's an old joke.
I know, but it wasn't old when I told it to them, and they repeated the program.
On the radio?
Yeah,
Oh, my goodness.
over and over and over. Because I just said it out part.
Yeah. I actually heard that joke on an episode of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. I don't know if you're familiar with that. Quincy Jones produced a show about Will Smith as a rapper, or not a rapper, but a young kid from Philadelphia who moved to Beverly Hills. You heard that show?
Now I know the Beverly Hillbillies. That's the equivalent. That's
Yeah,
the backside.
Right. It's Beverly Hillbillies, but with hip hop.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Nothing is new under the sun, like Solomon said.
It is.
Oh, vanity is a vanity.
Horatio said that.
Horatio. See,
Nothing new under the sun.
so it wasn't even Solomon.
Well, he said, there's nothing new under the sun. Horatio is explaining it to him. I wonder what about under the moon? I hadn't thought about that. Anything new under the moon? It wasn't when I got through drinking it. I was the only thing under it.
You were shining under the moon, right?
Yeah, I was a moonshine baby.
All right, so we're gonna get back on the swing of things. We're here again with Mr.
Dent, Wildman
Dent?
Myers.
Wildman Myers. See, I almost was about to say before you came in and interrupted me, I was gonna do it. Dent Myers.
Yeah, but psychologically, you don't like to do what you're doing, so you cut it out mentally.
All right.
Okay, let's go.
So, we're gonna talk about the elephant in the room.
An elephant in the room.
Racism. And why people believe your collection is racist, what you believe about your collection of black caricature paraphernalia, racist paraphernalia, whatever you want to call it. Why do you find this intriguing? Why do you collect it? Are you a racist? I know you're not a racist. I'm just asking the question so you can answer it. Do you know racists, and what do you do when you're confronted with racism? Do you care if your friends and peers are racist? Do you consider yourself an ally for the black community? What is going on with Wildman and his paraphernalia, and where does he stand when it comes to civil rights? Is that a loaded question? Is too many things? Do I have to break it down?
Doesn't matter to me. The elephant thing, though, you get 4 blind men on 4 different sides of the elephant, and each one describes it differently.
Differently, right, yeah.
So that is your answer to all racism. Racism is a knee-jerk word. It's just one they're using now. It used to be mama and apple pie and ball game. Now it goes racism. It's to give you an emotional arousal, have something to hang on to because you don't know anything else. You got to say racism if you don't like something. That dog manure there, it's turning white. It's racist. It's laid in the road and laid there and turning white now.
Do you think, okay, what we're seeing is the caricature of black people, right? Do you
as a person who I would say, I'm not going to say that you're a redneck or a hillbilly or
No, just call
a
me
southerner or anything like that. Do you find it offensive, right, when we make caricatures of hillbillies?
I don't.
Do you know where I'm coming from now?
Yeah, but like we do about y'all do about us.
Right.
I
So it's
don't
like,
understand it.
you
No,
know,
see, that's the
he
thing
has
about it.
hold on, the recording stopped. He has the cut off sleeves. He has the dirty hat. He's singing country music. They always make a joke about how he's fucking his sister or something. Pardon my French.
Yeah, you nasty word. I ain't gonna talk to you no more.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Listen to me. I'm a young guy. I speak a little bit different, and I apologize if I offend you.
No, it's just here. You can go out there and cuss all day long if you want.
Yes.
But it's against the law here. There's a law on my door there that tells you to cuss and then lock you
I
up.
got you. But here's the thing. The way you feel about racism is how I feel about language. But we're not going to get into that. But I wanted to ask you, about, so you said when they make a caricature of white people, it doesn't offend you.
Mm.
When a black person says, white people talk like this and they're doing the stuff, that doesn't offend you.
Mm.
So, does it not offend you because you are white in America and then you have the freedom to sort of make a decision of what you want to do? Because I feel that it offends us as black Americans because it is used to degrade us when we're already down and we don't really have many options.
Oh, you just think that. That's the thing. We don't. Well, the white people may think like you do if they got the same mentality. Because if they call him a redneck or a honky or a bigot or something like this, they get disturbed because they don't have what it takes to hold their shoulders up and say, I'm me, so I don't care what you call me because I'll still be me.
Right.
And I may be all those things you're talking about, but that's me. I got to pay for it.
Right.
I can't don't atone for your sins, and you can't atone for my sins. You done it, you're going to pay for it, and I'm going to pay for mine, man. You know.
Yes, exactly. So at the end of the day,
How was that?
when it comes to righteousness, yo, my brother,
Yeah.
when it comes to righteousness, when it comes to morality, it's not going to be a community thing. It's an individual thing. What does your morality stand? Where do you stand between you and the universe and God or whatever you believe in? That, at the end of the day, has nothing to do with what other people think.
That's right.
It's about what you think is right. And if you're wrong, then that's humanity.
I got to pay for it.
You have to pay. I don't pay for it. You know, the guy that's over here doesn't pay for it. Your mother doesn't pay for it. Your father doesn't pay for it. If we're wrong about all of this, then we have to be held accountable.
You haven't walked in my moccasins in 6 months. You don't know how I am.
Right.
I haven't walked in your moccasins in 6 months to get acclimatized to walking in your world. It's all foolish. It's foolishness. If you let something like that interfere with your life, you're destroying part of your karma.
Karma.
Hmm?
Are you Buddhist? Are you Hindu?
I'm a chicken do. I'm more a rooster do instead of a hen do. No,
What does a hen do? Right.
And lays a square egg.
But do you
No,
practice?
excuse me, a pie or square egg.
3.14.
Yeah.
Do you practice any of the ancient religions, like yoga, practices, yoga, things like that? You mentioned the third eye.
Not intentionally, but I have a kind of a smattering of knowledge of most religions.
Okay.
Because it comes down to one thing. You come from one place and you go back to one place.
So you don't subscribe to one particular ideology. Okay. But we're going off topic again. We want to talk about the collection. Why did you feel it was important to collect these things?
Because it's a part of history primarily, and because my ancestors participated in it, which makes it double dip. And it was just one of those type of things that struck me as being important to preserve it because it happened. You can't unhappen it, regardless of which side won or which side didn't win,
Right.
or what kind of atrocities that were committed by either one.
Right.
It's still history.
Right.
And that's my main primary criteria is history. I don't give a flip about racism and about me being a honky and about these people drinking 2020. It's all common knowledge. I just like to talk to people and get their opinions of things. Not that I would try to change them. I wouldn't try to change anybody's opinion about nothing. Their religion, their creed, their affiliation within the organization. I may not like it, but I wouldn't go destroy their statues. I wouldn't go destroy their flag. I wouldn't destroy their monuments or nothing, regardless of what I thought of them. It's just that way, and it doesn't matter to me because that's just my opinion. I got to pay for it.
Right.
Your opinion, you're entitled to that. And if it's right, you're right, and I'm wrong. But if it's wrong, well, you know, I either can share the blame for either one of us.
Right. Right. So, do you find it amusing? Do you think that it's interesting? Do you think it's funny? Do you think does it make you sad? Do you think it's funny? Do you think it's not funny? Do you consider it an artistic piece? Like, what do you see? What feelings do you get when you see this type of? Oh my goodness, I'm running out of space. I'm sorry, I gotta clear some space on my files. On my
You getting a phone call from KGB?
Yeah, the Russians are watching me.
Mm-hmm. They do. And they're more informed on our individual identities than the Americans are.
You know what I learned? Most of these people overseas are way more versed in American politics than Americans are.
They are.
In general. And it's kind of sad.
But we've let it happen. We're busy going to the ball game or going to a concert.
Right. Right.
Or flogging our old lady. not being aware of the people riding their camels over here with their spears that have massive stickers in the back while we're bombed out of a tree. On meds, you know.
Yeah, I mean, like, the thing about it is that we live such a sheltered and controlled lifestyle that we are so unaware of what's going on. It's really kind of alarming how much we don't know, and it's sort of a really good tactic for people to control you if you don't know what's going on.
Well, I read both my enemies in my books, too, so, you know.
You know, at one point I was like that. I actually did get Mein Kampf with the intention of reading it. Have you ever read it? Because think about it. I wanted to think about it as a historical thing. How can one person be such a great orator that they can manipulate people to do evil things?
Well, we consider it evil things because we have done the same thing. The American populace do the same thing. They give
on a grander scale, too.
Shot up a village of women, children, and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But it's war. The way to win a war is through attrition, and kill the mama, the daddy, the dog, the cat, and burn their building down. That's what Sherman did. That's what whipped us down here because we had no resources left.
I think that honestly, while you know, we talk down on Germany and Hitler and what they did.
He's a smart man.
Yeah, he's smart, but also we did some crazy atrocities. We pretty much wiped out many native tribes, like the whole entire tribe.
Yes, so did, well, Russia has done more than Hitler and China and everybody else put together.
Wow.
Kill more people.
Yeah, I mean, they're ruthless. They'll kill
But
journalists.
they're our allies. It don't make any difference.
Well, if you could do me a favor and pull the mic up a little bit closer.
Sorry, I can't get it. I'm getting too tired to pick it up now.
You're right. Can I just sit it right here next to you?
No, I got it.
No. It should actually be fine if I just put it down next to your side. It should
What
still,
time does it go off?
in about 5 minutes of talking.
Good.
I just wanted to wrap it up. So the question I asked before my battery ran out.
We weren't talking about rap.
We weren't talking about rap. Was what do you feel when you see these racist or caricature paraphernalia? Do you find it funny? Do you think it's sad? What emotions do you get when you see this stuff, and why does it intrigue you so much?
What side?
What do you mean?
A cartoon about what?
About
Like the one on the wall about watermelon head?
Watermelon, big lips, lazy. You know, there's a million different racial tropes that have been represented through caricature. Does it make? Do you think it's funny? Do you think it's sad? Do you think it's offensive? Do you think it's just you just look at it and go, well, that's history? Do you laugh?
No, I don't think that's history. I think that's artwork.
Artwork. Okay. When you see it, do you say it's funny artwork? It's sad artwork? It's such a shame, but it's good. Like, what do you think when you see it?
I don't really think about it because I do cartoons myself, and you just do what your impulse is and do it. If people think it's funny, good. If they think it's sad, good. If they think it's obtruse, good. It's according to the source, the viewer. It doesn't have anything to do with what you're going to do. You may think, well, this is funny and I'm going to do it because it's about these old redneck honkies. And other people said, boy, that's funny. They could have said, boy, that's sad. And this other stuff said, you shouldn't do that.
Right.
Because they're so inefficient of observing something like an objective viewpoint. I mean, you've got your things already pre-programmed. You're not going to change them. Like you see something you think is offensive, you'll always think it's offensive. You see something you like it, you're going to like it forever. You're not going to change your opinion about it. It's the same with all this stuff. But you've been programmed into a position to where that you, hate honky, hate blackie, hate Carter's liver pills.
Hispanics, Asians, yeah.
Well, it used to be Polacks with jokes about Polacks.
Oh yeah, I mean they had Italian jokes and Polish jokes and.
We're letting them rest now, though. We're doing black joke and white jokes. We're letting them rest. It's just a series of things. Anyway, regardless of anything, I'm here. I've been here 48 years, and I haven't had any axe to grind against anybody.
Right.
I've had some very obnoxious phone calls and things, which to me that's their problem. I mean, some very, very obnoxious profanity, which I'm not overly enthusiastic about. I consider that a lack of command of the English language to have to use profanity as a shock factor.
I would debate that, but go ahead.
Anyway, it didn't bother me. People saw us supposed to jump up and down and holler and call the FBI and all that. Who cares?
Right.
What I do, I invite them up. I say, come on up. Because they're going to shoot me and kill me and cut me in pieces and all this kind of stuff. I said, come on up. Come on up. And they don't. But see all these people right here? Do they look disturbed?
No. But it's almost kind of a little offensive that you would collect the pictures of the black people as some kind of a trophy. That's how I see it.
They wanted me to do it.
Okay.
It was their idea, so you're harping against your own people.
Right.
So see what you've done.
Yeah.
Let me see your shoes. I think you stepped in it. Yep, there's a little bit. No, really. It was their idea. It wasn't mine.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just your all accommodation.
Yeah. I'm just telling you how I see it. Yeah.
Well, that's good. I need to know that. But anybody, it don't matter if they're white, green, striped, purple, or Episcopalian, or Buddhism, or so. Oh, they visited one time, too. I had the whole stairwell full of them.
Wow.
And I'll show you that picture before you leave.
Yeah.
Don't remind me.
Okay.
Anyway, to answer your question, I can't answer your question if that didn't answer your question.
Right. But the question, okay, I have two more questions before we go. I know you're getting tired. One question is, why do you think that you're still here? Why hasn't anyone attacked you or made attempts on your life? And why hasn't the government intruded into what you're doing? Do you just think no one cares?
I've had interventions, groupings of that stuff, but I haven't done anything. Just being here is enough to disturb them, so that tells me something about their character.
Okay.
I mean, just being here, because I hadn't gone out here and thrown no rocks at nobody. I hadn't torn down nobody's statue.
Yeah.
I haven't gone down to Martin Luther King's thing and painted no swastikas on it, nothing like that. I wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
I respect the people that put this stuff up there. And I don't understand the other side that does that, because I wasn't reared that way.
Right.
I'm old country hick from way up there stuck in the woods 500 miles.
Yeah.
And we didn't get one pair of shoes a year, and we tried to beat them up so we get another pair the next year.
Well,
we put laces on our feet to make people think we had shoes.
Right. So what do you think about Donald Trump, the businessman, the guy that...
When they were running, I call it rump and clitoris. Running against each other. Rump and clitoris.
That's Hillary and Trump, right?
I was not too overly enthusiastic about anybody, because I had watched him, and I said he would make a good sideshow barker. I voted against Hillary, so I went to him. Now I would vote for him anything he did.
You said you would vote for him, anything he did?
Anything he did.
Why?
Because he stood on his own 2 feet, expressed his own opinions, and he had rubber stamped all the pet peeves and the pet projects of those people that Obonga Hole and Jimmy Carter needs to stamp them right off. And wasting our taxpayers' money.
So
wasting
here's
your
the
money.
question I have for you. You seem to be a well-read person.
I'm white. And if you're an Indian, they're red.
Stop. No, you seem to be very well versed in knowledge in different subjects, different art forms, religion, race, American history. You don't find it offensive that the president doesn't know any of this? Like, he can barely quote a Bible verse. He doesn't even understand politics. It doesn't offend you that someone who's supposed to represent the country doesn't understand the history of the country or even understand the laws?
Did you ever talk to Obonga Hole? He didn't know as much as Trump did.
I mean, he went.
He was a
and
puppet.
took the opportunities to actually learn.
What he did, he was installed. He was not voted in. Jimmy Carter was installed. He wasn't voted in. We got to get somebody that's weak and obsequious and easily guided so they maneuver him through all this to get some more freedoms away from us. That's just an opinion.
I understand.
You know that opinion really. Hi, this is Mr. Bill. I live in a shoe.
Okay, well, it looks like Mr. Myers is losing his wits right now because of me
No.
getting at him.
That's half. You're half right. Half wit.
Halfway. And I just want to say, well, what advice would you give to young Americans today? Young people. What would you, in your opinion, and I'm sure that there's a wide array of advice you can give, but what is the best advice you've been given, and the best advice you can give to people that are young, coming up, dealing with this tension?
I'm in no position to give advice to nobody, because if they can't understand the fact to be unto themselves, be true, and let that slop over into your other people too. But you've been indoctrinated to do what you've got to do, and have your main project at college is beer and babes. But I'm in no position to direct anybody in any direction.
Any final words?
Well, if they come and ask me a specific question, I can give them my views, I can give them my opinion, but that's all I've got. And I've got a nickel to go with it if they want that. Like when I was in school. Are we still on this?
Yeah.
Or you might want to say.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Mr. Wildman. I appreciate your time.
I wish you meant that.
Well, there you have it. I hope that the Mr. Wildman, Dent Man, Manny Dent Man, Wild Guy is doing well. Is he a racist? I don't know. I mean, listening to what he talks about, he doesn't seem to have any evil tendencies in his methods and what he's doing. Why he's collecting this racist art. The intention seems to be purely historic. But we can never really know the true heart of a man until, we really can delve deep. Like, who's his mother? Who's his father? Where was he raised? How was he raised? Has he ever been involved in or stood idly by when someone was being lynched or being persecuted? We don't know. We don't know where Dent stands, because I hadn't had time to ask him those types of questions, because a year ago when I recorded this, those types of things weren't on my mind. I just wanted to know who the man was. So, hopefully, we'll revisit. Until then, c'est la vie. Thanks for choosing the Late Bloomer Podcast. PaidInAmerica.com.
Keeping it organic.